Hello there, my name is Oyinkansola Alabi, and it's my pleasure to be here today. I have finally got a hang on this. Like, I have finally accepted to put my story together in this video. My story on how I stopped watching pornography. My story is very unique and interesting because in Nigeria and internationally, I occupy 5 different titles or 5 different designations. So I work as an executive life coach, I work as a therapist, I work as an emotional intelligence practitioner, I'm a psychology candidate. So a few years from now, I should be a professor of psychology. I love that. Finally, I work as a spiritual leader, otherwise known as a pastor. So my journey is interesting because while I was addicted to porn and I was feeding myself a buffet, a sexual buffet actually, I was a pastor, and it has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with my worship center or my pastor or my leaders, absolutely nothing. It has everything to do with me. So I am taking emotional responsibility, and that's why I have come to the point where I am willing, ready, and available to share my truth, my journey, my pain, my tears, and my power with you. So welcome to the first module on how I stopped watching pornography, or my porn addiction actually. And I stopped this in less than 30 days. So this is not a quick fix. It is also not what you will probably find anywhere, because I'll be sharing my truth with you. So back to how I got onto pornography. It was about 7 years ago. I had a research report to come to document, and I documented data, statistics, and figures on pornography, and I just felt I have never even seen or watched this. So I'm familiar with what people call blue film. I remember when I was younger, we had stuff like Naxin, some magazines that were a little erotic, and those were my highest engagement with that kind of meal. But this time around, I had a smartphone, and of course I had internet, and I had freedom, so I could use it the way I wanted to use it. So I was working on a report, and part of my report I documented my data, and I just felt I needed to include some level of practical to the theory that I documented. So I got onto Google and I typed pornography in the search button, and the next thing I saw was that I wasn't prepared for the festival that showed up after I typed in porn. Now I was taken to the largest porn site in the world that I'll be giving you data on, but I would not mention the name, the largest porn site in the world, and I saw several flavors of porn. I saw some that I termed empowering. Not that they were empowering, but that was what it was for me at that time. I will deal with that also in the subsequent modules. And of course, the disempowering ones, whether you call them BDSM or rape or the thought, anything that dehumanizes or still does that, I just tuned off. Like, the moment I saw any dehumanizing image, I just told myself, no, like, my brain knows more than this. So I looked at a couple of pornography, like the videos. I saw about 3 or 4 of them, and when I was done, I looked at what I documented. The practical that I had in my head also aligned with the theory on paper, so I felt I'd done justice, and that was it. But interestingly, when I submitted the paper, I didn't know that I'd submitted my conscience. So I kept on feeding on porn. It became a habit that I would go to work, come back home, and then an hour, 2, 3, I can't remember, but something in that frame, like 1, 2, 3, 4 hours and all of that. But the interesting thing was, with hindsight, when I needed to heal myself and recover my mind, with hindsight, what I was looking at was that I observed that I wasn't interested in the penetration or the sexual drama itself. What I was looking for was connection. What I was looking for was attention. What I was looking for was affection. I enjoyed the seduction process, but I'd forgotten that these guys I was watching were actors. I'd forgotten that they were paid to get their job done. I'd forgotten that they were paid to assume a persona, a role. I'd forgotten that they were not normal. They had become somebody else. It was their alter ego at play. So some of these guys, I found that they are high on drugs to get into that state. Some of these ladies also are high on some flavored drug or the other to get into that state. Now, I had no idea that what I was doing was called mental sex. I had no idea that what I was getting involved in was going to rewire my brain. The interesting thing is that the desire for synthetic and mental sex is one of the most abused desires in the world, and most abused desire of all. Porn and internet are so linked. In fact, researchers estimate 50% of all internet traffic to be sexually related. And whether you like it or not, pornography is one of the kings on the internet, or kings of the internet. The moment you have a smartphone and any level of internet connection, whether you bid or look for pornography or not, pornography will look for you. So I observed that I wasn't particularly interested in the act. I was interested in the seduction process, and that was some level of data and information for my soul. So I will be going ahead in the subsequent modules to deal with how it affected my performance and rewired my brain. I would give you data also on the porn industry in the world and in Nigeria where I reside, practical steps on what I call sexual transmutation, and finally how to redesign your sex life. So thank you for hanging with me on the first module and the module that is discussing or introduced my story on pornography. I will proceed in the next module on the way forward and how to help ourselves. Thank you.